We're going live. Hey, boys and girls. Mr. Ma's China Adventures. Well, I look, I need a break, from Ukraine and politics. These are very difficult things. And all my heart and all our hearts and prayers go out to everyone who's affected by this, which is pretty much everybody, but of course, especially the people in Ukraine and Russia. Well, I should say the people being attacked in Ukraine. Um, but let's also talk about, let's also don't forget that this has been going on. Look, this didn't start 2 weeks ago with Putin. This has been going on for 8 years. People in Ukraine were being killed, 14,000 people in the Donetsk region over the last 8 years. So, I mean, this thing goes back a long way. There's a lot of history there. And you know what? I said to my brother this morning, I just want to call my brother up and say, hey, I'm buying a new DAC, FX Audio M1, buying a new DAC. I'm going to buy a new CD transport, Audio Lab 6000 CDT transport. And and I want to just talk about music and enjoy my life like the vast majority of people on the planet. I don't really want to be sitting in my Twitter feed and just tweeting out and retweeting what other people retweet out about Ukraine to feed my outrage because I'm upset. Yes, I'm upset. Everybody's upset. We all should be upset. How do I look? I look pretty good. Yeah, it's a little bit warm. Summertime, springtime's coming. So I'm going to take off my jacket here. Hope you're all doing great. So specifically, the reason I want to tell you why I decided to go ahead and do this audio video right now. Oh, in case you didn't know, this live stream is about audiophile gear, speakers, amplifiers, um, uh, sources, which would be CD players, turntables, the world of DACs, which I've become much more familiar with because I'm about to buy one, and tube gear, especially, which is an area that people love. So if you're interested in music and audio gear and all that stuff, that's this live stream for you. Okay? If this is not a Mr. Ma's talk about politics or China, though we are going to talk about China. I do want you to know that because we're going to talk about audio gear, which, by the way, I'm about to reveal a secret to you. You have no idea. You have no idea. A massive UK famous brand that you're thinking, oh yeah, they're made in UK. I know that's what you're thinking. And there's so many brands that are not, they're folks are all made in China. This is the new reality. The most superb audio brands, UK brands. I mean, I'm talking legendary. I'll tell you about that a little bit later. This video is inspired by and with thanks to Tharbamar. Go watch his YouTube channel. I've never met Tharbamar. He seems like a very, very nice Indian gentleman who does nice reviews. And he decided to revisit the JBL 530. And he's one of the few reviewers, like myself, who spends time on this speaker for your benefit and who rightfully points out it's one of your absolute best choices in the world, as long as you love the way it looks, which you may not. You may hate the way it looks. And also Cheap Audiophile Man, another guy. Thank you to him. I forgot his name. Another YouTube channel. He covered a lot of DACs information, and I've been wanting to buy a DAC, so I've been watching his videos, and he did a really great video on the JBL 530. So those two have revisited the JBL 530, and I am revisiting the JBL 530, and there's a very good reason for it. I need to tell you this point blank. Okay, you have an amazing, wonderful situation in the United States with regard to the JBL 530. We're going to talk about the JBL 530, and then we're going to talk about the Audio Lab 6000 CD transport, and we're going to talk about DACs. Specifically, I'm going to mention FX Audio, SMSL, Toppings E50. Very interesting things going on because I'm making the purchases now. But so let's start with the JBL 530. So the JBL, and while I'm doing that, let me check my Twitter, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Good. Sorry about the interruption, because I put out. Yeah. Okay. Good and happy to be. Oh God, I'm so glad to be on the live stream and taking a break from. I mean, the world is worried about stuff, you know. So JBL 530. You need to know two really important things about the JBL 530 if you are in the American market. Number one, in terms of price, you are the luckiest bastards on planet Earth. I mean, you are just so insanely lucky. You can buy the JBL 530 for $699 a pair. At that price, go buy them, because the sound quality of the JBL 530s is without a doubt in the 1,000 to 2,000 stand mount category. Now, probably not the 2,000 so much, but say 1,000 up to 1,500. They're every bit as good as, for example, the KEF LS50s, which are like 1,200, 1,300 a pair. And this is without a doubt. Okay. When things reach a certain level of quality and refinement, then and musicality and coherence, then it just becomes a question of personal taste, right? So I'm not saying these are better than the KEF LS50. I've never even heard them. But other top YouTube channels, the guy's comment was, I prefer these to the LS50. They're comparable to the LS50. Okay. So they are in terms of the overall sound quality, musicality, and level of quality, refinement, soundstage, etc. Okay, so this is not a cheap $200 to $500 bookshelf speaker, and it's all stand mount speaker, and it's already priced at $699, which is amazing. It's a good price. Then in America, they go on sale. God, you people, you are so lucky. When JBL 530 goes on sale in America, they go on sale for like $300-400 a pair. It's just incredible. The JBL 5 series, you got to understand, this is a JBL compression horn driver. This is not a tweeter in a horn. Okay, this is a JBL's compression horn. I mean, the driver is a compression driver. It's not a tweeter, and in its horn, assembly. So it's absolutely incredible. And being absolutely incredible, you can buy it at lower prices. You just got to know how lucky you are. You've got to know it. I have other JBL 530 videos on my channel. Go watch them and I've added the reviews. There's some people out there who have listened to and owned JBL 530s and listened to them, compared them to a dozen other stand mount speakers. And these are their preference in all price ranges, including expensive ones, more expensive. Like I just mentioned about the KEF LS50, equally as good, just different to your taste. It's that simple. That's how good the JBL 530 is. Now, you can get it dirt cheap in America. Congratulations, just because America, JBL, the consumer market there, distribution, blah, 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 blah. But you can't get it in drop dead gorgeous rosewood. Now, I will tell you, this speaker in drop dead gorgeous rosewood is another ballgame. Look at that. This is only available in America in black, and I gotta say, it really does look like a funeral coffin in black. I mean, I got to admit it. Now, by the way, if you like black furniture, forgive me, I take it back. If you like black furniture, you can tolerate, black wood veneer furniture. You can tolerate the JBL 530 in black, but I can't. I hate it. It looks, to me, it looks like a funeral crypt. But look at it in rosewood. What a magnificent, magnificent piece of equipment this is in rosewood. Here in China, they are available. I've already sold 3 pairs to someone in America, customers in America. And just adding a couple $100 profit for myself and all my trouble to ship them out to you, they're $950 a pair, which is a lot of money. But that's for JBL rosewood. And 2 people have bought them and are perfectly, wonderfully, happily satisfied, because they, again, are actually worth every penny. They are equivalent to any uh, thousand, $900 to $1,500 stand mount speaker out there to your preference and tastes. That's the reality of JBL 530 speakers. What's amazing about them is, I think, when you look at them now, when you look at it as it is right now, it's actually a very good looking, like a piece of Art Deco furniture. Even in black, the front, I mean, look at that with the cover on. But when you remove the cover, and then there's another little plastic piece you put here, right here, to replace the dispersion curve of the cover. Okay. I gotta say that they're butt ugly. I mean, now they look like something that belongs in a, studio garage somewhere. You put together. So I mean, look, it's ugly. Okay, I mean, I admit it, right? So I listen to them with the grills off on. I'm not going to say I hear a huge difference. I'm just listening, enjoying music. For critical listening, I remove the grills. But when you're just sitting there listening and enjoying yourself, not that big a deal. Leave the grills on; they look beautiful. Okay, fine. So what you need to know about the JBL 530s is that they're not quite as fully refined as a $2,000 stand mount. Okay. And their highs are not crystalline, up way, way up there, super up there, silky, silky highs. But there's plenty of highs, and they're as clean and clear as you could possibly want them to be. They're just not that super extreme kind of high thing up in the treble. There's a bit of a roll off. Okay. Be aware of that. I can't say enough about mids and vocals coming out of these speakers. The design is not a horn flare intended to make it bright or create any mid-range brightness. They don't have any of that at all. Okay. So they cannot be compared to the traditional Klipsch horns, which are known to be very efficient and brighter. Okay. And my brother has them, and they sound amazing. They sound great, but they're not smooth. Okay. And that's great for rock and everything. I mean, you cannot compare these to the wonderful RP600Ms, which I've never heard, but Steve Gutenberg says they sound fabulous. People love them. They're a rock speaker. They're not sophisticated, and they're not going to do what these can do for an Oscar Peterson trio. You catch my meaning, right? Okay. It's just the refinement's not there, and it needs to be there. So these speakers down into the mids have that level of refinement. And when you pop down into the bass, I didn't, Tharbamar first mentioned it. I didn't agree. But then now that I've had them for a while, there is a touch of mid bass hump, and it's not much. But there is a touch, less than the Definitive Technology D9s, which even have a warmer mid bass, lower mid range sound, because I listen to them compared to these side by side. I did a sound test, check my other video, Definitive Technology D9s or D11s, the 6.5-inch tube. I listened to them side by side. I did a sound test, and they sounded remarkably similar, believe it or not. Super high quality, super high quality. Soundstage of the Definitive Technologies was smaller, but in terms of the overall level of quality and refinement and musicality, yes, fabulous speakers as well, around $1,200 a pair. But I definitely noticed a little hump rainbow in the upper bass warmth with the Definitive Technologies that these didn't have. These do still have a touch of a warmth in the upper bass. You got to pull these speakers out away from the wall. No doubt about it. The bass gets woolly and sloppy. The bass gets woolly and sloppy. I mean, it does. It just gets thick. And even also the soundstage with the dispersion of the horn, very, very important. You really have to get the further out, the better. And no, 2 feet is not enough. Okay. My wife and my boy, they don't want my speakers out in the middle of the room, right? So I put them back. Okay. And then I listen, I sit and I listen. And, you know, there's the wall and the speakers are just a couple feet out from the wall. And I listen to it and I just go, oh, no, 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 no. It doesn't work. So the absolute reality with the JBL 530s is that they got to come out from the wall at least 4 feet. And that's been my experience. And the further you pull them out into the room, the better. Also, they don't need to be towed in, but again, to personal preference, you don't need to tow them in. And I've even put them out really wide, like really far apart and not towed in. And I'm amazed that the instrumentation in the middle and in the space is still there. Okay. But you can put them out wider and then tow them in a little bit. And then they also kind of come into focus quite nicely. Really interesting, but it's not necessary because the dispersion design here with the wave guided horn is remarkable. These are very unique. They sound big, bold, and dynamic. And that leads me to the final point about the JBL 530s, which is the bass. I can't understand it, how I find myself not wanting a subwoofer. How is that possible? This is it's a hefty, but it's only a 5 1/4 inch. That's crazy. It's also in a big cabinet. If you think about it, for a 5 1/4 speaker, this is a huge cabinet, and it is. So there's volume in there. And then, of course, the port in the back has it tuned. It's tuned to, I think, so that the bottom on this speaker comes in at around 42, 43 hertz. And it's remarkable. Okay. Everyone goes, well, I'm surprised how much more bass that thing has than it. Where's that bass coming from? Holy gazolies, man. Holy guacamole, Batman. Where's that bass coming from? I mean, nice bass down into the low 40s. And you're good up to moderate loud volume, right? And then you can't crank these. I think you can crank the Klipsch RP600Ms. You can't crank these because the woofer, it runs out of ability. I mean, it's only got that much. So you're not going to do that to ear bleeding levels and you think the bass is going to keep going up. No, the woofers finally reached their excursion. It's not going to happen. So those are your limitations. And wow, if you're looking for like medium loud, even classical, anything acoustic, anything jazz, funk, is just fabulous for these speakers. If you want to rock out super, super loud, or hip hop super loud, well, then you're gonna have that super, I mean, again, cranked. No. You're not gonna want to do that. You're just not gonna want to do that with these speakers. Okay. So that's about it on the JBL 530s. And in the meanwhile, returning to the my new purchase from Christmas time, the Cayenne A88T, which is their legendary KT88. I bought the reference model. It's over $2,000. The reference model comes with an upgraded toroidal transformer, some nice wood on the side, and most importantly, the Genelex. Am I saying it right? The Genelex Gold Lion KT88s, the legendary Genelex Gold Lion KT88s. And how does my tube amplifier sound? 45 watts per channel, pentode, and half of that into ultralinear mode. And it sounds amazing. I mean, in the original Six Moons review, many and other people have said you don't need any other amplifier ever in the world again. Does it sound slow, soft in any way? Not at all. There was no reduction whatsoever in the clarity and extremity of highs coming from this tube amplifier. It's simply magnificent. So there's two things you need to know about that and these. These are low sensitivity, 85 dB. And I thought, well, I know that with this giant transformer, the Cayenne 88T weighs 60 pounds. It's insane. Okay. It has plenty of guts above and beyond its wattage rating of 45 watts. And also into ultralinear mode, 22 watts. Does it have enough power? to drive these because they're not sensitive. They need power. I was amazed because previously I was driving it with a Denon top of the line AVR 4308 receiver, 150 watts a channel, loads of power. I thought these speakers need it. The Cayenne has no problem at all drive. There's no reduction in dynamics or bass or anything. You say, oh, because there's not enough, you don't have enough power driving them. It's absolutely not the case. And I'm saying this to you, even in ultra linear mode, where it's only 22 watts a channel, and I listen to these JBLs, and I just go, everything's there. Everything is there. Okay. Now, in ultra linear mode, and I'm referring again mostly to, more jazz and acoustic type music. I was playing some music which was much more complex, fuller rock music, and I found myself in ultra linear mode, turning the volume, all the way up. And then I said to myself, this isn't quite working. I thought I heard some distortion, and I put it back into pentode mode, which is your full 45 watts per channel, and the problem solved. Plenty of headroom, plenty of dynamic headroom from the amplifier going into the speakers. Also, I have my customer who bought these JBL 530s back in America is running them with PS Audio Sprout, the 100 watt per channel into 4 ohms, 50 watts per channel into, 100 watts per channel. Yes, no, I'm not sorry. I said it right. 100 watts per channel into 4 ohms, 50 watts per channel into 8 ohms. He's running these speakers with that PS Audio Sprout, and he says same thing. He's got absolutely no lack of enough guts coming from the PS Audio Sprout to drive his JBL 530s. My update on the Cayenne A88T, well, to be frank with you, we have to talk about this thing called break-in period. I don't notice anything. I don't, I'm not saying I'm not a believer in break-in period, but I told you when I first got the Cayenne 88T, I listened to, I plugged it in, I hooked it up, and immediately I noticed 3 key things. 1, the woofers of my speakers, happens to be these, is moving less when I use the turntable. So there's more control of the woofers, which I thought was remarkable. Okay. Compared to the Denon receiver, which is, again, not a cheap receiver, So control of the woofers, I thought, wow, that's just so interesting. When you drop the needle on the record, less movement. I was like, wow. So I was pretty happy about that. Secondly, I don't turn it up loud anymore. It's crazy. All the sound is there. I noticed this right away at low volume and medium volumes. And that's like all the sound is there through the Cayenne 88T. I don't know how to explain it. I find myself not wanting or needing to turn it up louder. I got to say, that must be regarded as an improvement. How can I call that anything other than an improvement, right? That's the second thing. The third thing I think I already told you, which was that there was no reduction in highs whatsoever. You'd think, oh, people have said, oh, YouTube amplifiers, they naturally introduce distortion and they're slow compared to solid state, especially the new digital stuff. So, they're slow, they're softer and slower. And nothing like that at all. Okay. Nothing like that at all. Third thing to say, pentode mode. Wow, the mid-range is loud. I mean, it's obvious you got this full mid-range centric sound coming out of when you're running this thing in pentode mode, full 45 watts per channel. And my conclusion is that's absolutely fabulous for regular music. Okay. If you're listening to rock, hip hop, whatever, you're going to want this thing in pentode mode. Okay. But when you want more refined and lay back the mids and lay back the sound, but retain all the refinement, I don't know how to explain it any other way. You move this thing to ultra linear mode and the mid-range pulls back. I don't know how else to describe it. It's really kind of weird. Nothing else changes. Okay. Like highs, no, they're all there. Bass, everything else is the same. It just changes that mid-range presence of that sound stage, which is quite interesting and remarkable. One could say one is getting 2 amps for the price of one, because you have a completely different sound experience. Lastly, JBL Cayenne 88T has 4 ohm and 8 ohm taps, and the JBLs are 6 ohms rated. Interesting, huh? I do not have any conclusions for you yet. I played them in 8 ohm taps, and I played them in the 4 ohm taps, and I went, oh yeah, there's a sound difference. Yeah, oh yeah, there's a sound difference because the power available and all. And then later on, like a few days later, I did it again, and I went, which sound difference was which? So I'm not coming up to any great conclusions with respect to that. And I think I currently have it on the 8 ohm taps, but honestly, nothing earth-shattering happening there. So that's the story with the Cayenne 88T. In the future, I think I'm going to want to upgrade the preamp tubes, the smaller ones, not the Genelex KT, not the Genelex Gold Line KT88s. Those are going to stay, but the smaller tubes for the preamp section, the pre-section, whatever that's called. I heard you can, by upgrading those, you can do some tube rolling. Nice. Okay. But for now, I mean, it can't sound any better. Now, I have to tell you the last thing about the Cayenne A88T. Was it worth buying? No. Now, that's an amazing statement. Listen to me very carefully. Was it worth buying? No. And I'm not saying it wasn't worth buying. I'm saying it sounded terrific before I bought it. These sounded terrific before I bought it. And when you reach a certain level in your system where it sounds great, then you're just spending money to make tone control changes and other little soundstage changes. And you're making minor changes to your system, and you're spending a frickin' fortune. So in terms of musicality, was it worth spending $2,000? Did I? No. In terms of my always wanting to buy a tube amplifier in honor and memory of my father, who had a Fisher tube amplifier when I was 8 years old, and I didn't realize what it was back then. And I finally now have the best, one of the very, very best reviewed and built, by the way, amazing build quality, tube amplifiers on the planet. I'm so glad I bought it. I have it. I love it. I'm going to pass it on to my child, my boy. I'm so happy I bought it. But I put a $2,000 amplifier in my system and went, oh yeah, it sounds 10 times better. Bullshit. Okay. I told everyone in previous videos, and I tell my brother, when I had that Denon AVR 4308 receiver, which is a $2,500 top of the line 10-year-old receiver, when I had that thing in my CD player and my turntable, my Amari turntable, and into these speakers, it sounded fabulous. It had depth, it had soundstage, it had placement, it had refine, it had everything it had. Amazing. Okay, it was superb. When I bought the Cayenne 88T, did it sound better? It sounds great. Well, but I was saying that before, wasn't I? So don't listen to audiophiles who are full of shit. So this one sounds so much better. No, it doesn't sound any better. It has its amazing, unique qualities as the best, one of the very best tube amplifiers for the money that you can buy. And it's not cheap. It's not a, $1,000 or $600 tube amplifier. It's an $1,800 to $2,000 or more tube amplifier. It's one of the it's the best category, better category on up, short of Macintosh. And I'm not going to spend, $5,000 plus. So I bought one of the very best amplifiers, tube amplifiers in the world, and it sounds fabulous, but my system sounded fabulous before. That's the truth. Now, yeah, like I said, it's like having two amplifiers in one pentode mode and ultralinear mode with two different sound characteristics. But there you go. There's my answer. Am I glad? Because $2,000, folks, is a lot of money. I'm not rich. right? If I was rich, I would go out and buy everything. I'd choose my five choice of, amplifiers, 5 different sets of speakers, phono preamps. That's going to be my next purchase, an upgraded phono preamp. And I don't mean a shit money. I mean a really serious upgraded phono preamp, not just like $120 one. That's next, right? But that's for people who are rich, and you listen, you mix and match, and that's another thing too. You mix and match, right? I'm assuming the JBL 530s go great, match very well with this wonderful tube amplifier. So that's the story, on all of these things with our systems, right? Finally, very important. I want to upgrade I've got just broke my CD player, have an old CD DVD player, my old Sanyo that is amazing. My wife's old Sanyo, and it sounds great, but the sound is compressed, and I know that fine. So I want to get a really nice CD player, and I discovered don't buy a CD player. Do not buy a CD player. If you're still thinking about buying one, don't. You buy an Audiolab 6000 CDT, a CD transport. It's just a transport. It doesn't have the DAC stuff built in. It doesn't have the preamp DAC stuff built in. It's just a transport mechanism. And it's that single purpose design, which according to reviews, and I forget the names of the reviewers, thank you for the reviewing it, said it is frickin' superb. So you buy the Audiolabs 6000 CDT transport, which is only like $320 or something like that. So, okay, is that cheap? Like, is that like a $100 cheap CD player? No, but it's only $320. Okay, and then you buy a DAC. You need a DAC, obviously, with the CD transport. Okay, which put me on the DAC line, which put me on the DAC purchasing conveyor belt. And I watched all the reviews, and I mentioned Cheap Audiophile Man and Tharbamar and a bunch of others, and I came down to the line of, oh yeah, the topping E30, and I went, no, and then I found out, no, we're way beyond the topping E30 already. And if you're gonna buy a DAC, folks, spend at least $200 and buy a good one, and like you're getting above God, just spend another $50, I mean, so you get to my three choices. The topping E50, okay, that's the real deal. The topping E50 is the latest from topping, and it absolutely surpasses the E30, obviously, as it would. And it obviously is also going to surpass their D50S, okay? Though there's still a place in the world for the D30 Pro, okay, which still gets rave reviews and is a different ballgame, right? You can look at other reviewers to find out the details on that. I'm not going to pretend to be a DAC expert, but topping E50, one choice for me. Now, it just so happens that here in China, I can pick that thing up for about $250. It's pretty much the same price as you guys. Second choice, SMSL. Okay, the U6, no, U8. Okay, so go for the U8, SMSL U8. This is my second choice. Haven't heard any of them yet. Okay, and my third choice, yes, I know there's shit, the shit mode E3 and all that. No, I'm forgetting all those. Okay, just don't want them. The topping E50, the SMSL U8, or the one I'm going to buy, which is got a remarkable review by the gentleman who's from, he has an accent like speaking from Russian, Ukraine, I don't know, Kazakhstan, which country he's from, his iReviews. Wonderful guy, does great reviews. He's one of the only ones who reviewed the FX Audio M1. The FX Audio M1. Not the FX Audio the A6 or A7. No. Upgraded. The FX Audio M1, which falls into that same over $200 amazing, wonderful, fabulous DAC category. Okay. But the fact of the matter is that I can buy it here in China for $50 less. So for me, what is it? $1,600. 1,600. I'm converting RMB. You can learn a little bit about conversions to Chinese yen, which is strengthening, by the way, getting closer and closer to 6 to 1 against the dollar for the Chinese yen. So the topping E50 is 1,500 yen, and dividing that by 6.2 is $240. And so 240 US dollars for the topping E50. The FX Audio M1 is 1,080 RMB, and that's divided by 6.2, and that's only 175 bucks. So I'm good. I'm good. I'm going to go because I just feel like it. I like the topping. I like that. I like that FX Audio M1. It's this square profile. By the way, it's a headphone amp as well, and it also has great sound. I'm convinced. So I'm going to spend $175 on the FX Audio M1 DAC, and I'm going to spend $325 on the Audio Lab 6000 CDT. I'm sourcing both of those right now. That will be my new purchases, and then reviews coming for those after they arrive, and I get to play with them for a while. That's it, Mr. Ma's China Adventures. No, I got one more thing I got to tell you guys. Who makes Audio Lab, which is superbly rated stuff? You're just not going to believe this. Who is the company that I'm going to show you right here. When I tell you this, guys, you're just not going to believe it. People get upset because stuff is made in China. Look, folks, it's you got to get with the real new world and forget politics. Okay, China is the largest, safe, stable, successful, capable, and civil country on the planet. It's an amazing modern place, and their manufacturing capabilities are bar none. They can build anything as good as anybody. Even Sonos Faber has their amazing crafted Italian speakers and the amazing crafted Apple iPhone. Everything's made in China. Now, don't get me wrong. If you want something if I want something that's made in Italy, it's because of the joy and the passion of it being crafted and made in Italy. So buy what's made in Italy. If I want something made in Germany, if I want something, even it's American made, that's great too. But you got to understand that if it's China made, that also it's equal quality wise. Okay. And so you need to know that IAG, International Audio Group, who are they? Okay, originally founded in 1983 by audio enthusiasts Philip Swift and Derek Scotland. Okay, you got to understand something. Okay, IAG, International Audio Group. Now listen to me very carefully. I'm going to read this to you. IAG, this is UK. This is one of the top UK companies. Premier manufacturer of audio equipment for both domestic and professional use, with its headquarters and manufacturing facilities in Asia and offices, including R&D in the UK and North America. IAG is a manufacturer with a truly global reach. The way they word it all, they want you to not understand. Everything I just said is true, and it's amazing, and I'm not a critic, okay? Everything they make is made in China. Or maybe some of it's made in other Asian countries too, but it's made in China. Okay, so that's what you need to understand. It's not made in the UK. And who is IAG? You ready? Audio Lab, and now you're going to freak. Mission, Quad, and Wharfdale. Guys, these are the realities of this is the big secret of China audiophile, which I've revealed to you today. I doubt very many people realize this. Audio Lab, Mission, Quad, Wharfdale, all of them. A huge, amazing, successful UK company. Folks, made in China. That's how it goes, which is a fabulous, fabulous thing. Check out my other videos go down to visit with me down to the Guangzhou audio market I went 2.5 years ago, and to the local shops down there in Guangzhou. It's just absolutely an amazing experience. This is it. Mr. Ma's China Adventures includes this talk about audiophile gear and China-made gear and loving the sound of music. And of course, you guys know I'm a jazz pianist as well. I've got a made in China Yamaha P125 electric piano in the other room. That's it for today. Thanks for joining me for this talk about audiophile gear and music, and be safe, be wise, have fun, and do your best dealing with these difficult things that are happening these days all across the world, especially the Ukraine war. We'll catch you later, folks. God bless. Bye-bye.